I would like to request our distinguished guest, Mr. Shafkat Mahmood, Minister of Federal Education and Professional Training, to join us on the stage. I'd like to give a brief overview of the Council. 5th of May. The member associations are Independent Power Producer Association, Renewable Energy Association of Pakistan. I would like to invite Dr. Nasir Khan, Executive Director NEFTEC, to give his welcome remarks.
Honorable President Minister for Excellency, industry is inconceivable. Unfortunately, till recent past, the involvement of industry in Pakistani private sector was not very established. This sector skill council in energy, and it's very encouraging to note that this infant sector developing about the skilled workforce for the sector. What opportunities are there? What is the demand of the sector in terms?
Thank you, Dr. Khan. Next, I would like to invite.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minister for Education, Federal Education and Professional Training, Shafkat Mahmood, and good afternoon, everyone. So, I'll give you a brief overview of the program, Private Sector Support Program. It was started in 2011. And main objective of the program, we had two, and Netherlands and later on Norwegian government also actually joined the program. When we talk of NEFTEC, they are part of boards of TEFTA, they are part, and this accreditation regime, this program supported to develop, to establish first ever accreditation regime within the country. And this accreditation council is also headed by private sector. And not at the level of, not at the CNMAC level, at this board level, and 50% participation is from private sector and 50% from the public sector. So these are only a few elements of the program. So there are so many things which our colleagues will also talk about. So too much of your time. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Khan, for the overview. Next, I would like to call Dr. Fatima Khushnood, Chairperson, Sector in Renewable Energy Sector of Pakistan.
All of you in this small initiative of ours, which is the Sector Skill Council, and for now I'll just keep it to energy. I would like to reflect on what Saad Saab actually mentioned about the role of the private sector. Let's all admit, I think we have been facing this inherent disconnect between the public sector and the private sector. The public sector training were not up to the mark to what the private sector was actually needing, and that was what was actually creating a lot of fiasco in terms that the private sector started then training the employees for themselves. They started having those skills that they required in their own small little initiatives. And that's why we were actually facing this gap, which was only widening with time. I think we'll have to give the credit to the government, and let me just wholeheartedly acknowledge our government, NEFTEC, our development partners, which includes GIZ, German Embassy, Norwegian Embassy.
I would like to invite Ms. Anne Marchal, Deputy Head of EU Mission in Pakistan, for her remarks. Please.
Mr. Shafkat Mahmood, Honorable Minister for Federal Education and Professional Training, Syed Javed Hassan, Chairman NAFTEC, Mr. Nasir Khan, Executive Director NAFTEC, Dr. Fatima Kusnut, Excellency Ambassador of Norway, colleagues from the German Embassy, colleagues from GIZ, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum, and good evening to you all. It's a very tough act to come and speak after Fatima, who made such an impassioned description of the action. But I'm very pleased to be here because it's an opportunity for me to tell you a little bit about what the EU is doing, both in the energy sector as well as in vocational training. Let me talk about energy first. Energy is such an important prospect for the development of the EU-Pakistan bilateral relations. And with population increasingly steadily, the need for energy is every day more critical. With the effects of climate change threatening our societies, the need for clean energy is every day more critical. This unconstitutional development, demography and climate change, and the way they will affect us all are a starting point of what should be the renewed priorities in our bilateral engagement. This is the reason why energy has been given a very important place in the strategic engagement plan that Pakistan and the EU are about to sign. In this document, framing our relation, we pledge to expand energy cooperation, including on renewable energy generation, and to promote cooperation, especially in the corporate sector and joint ventures. Our firm intention is that these words do not remain words, but turn into concrete actions. And this is not an area where just the EU is starting to work. We have already been beyond words. The European Investment Bank financed a large share of project to boost energy supply in Pakistan and to the region. Let me just quote a few figures. 50 million euro were provided for the rehabilitation of the Varshak electric power station in 2015. In 2014, 100 million euros were granted for the construction of the Kjell-Gunnar hydropower project. In 2009, 100 million euros were provided as framework loans for investment in renewable energy, contributing to climate change mitigation. And from a regional perspective, the EIB is contributing 7 million euro to CASA 1000 in order to enable Central Asian countries to sell the electricity surplus to countries like in it, such as Pakistan. So we are doing a lot, but we could do much more. Unfortunately, there have been missed opportunities to look at energy generation as an opportunity to enhance connectivity and to contribute to prosperity, growth, and regional stability. The EU and its private sector are committed to do more if there is a full transparency and competitive playing field. Energy is also a higher specialized area where skills matter. No political or financial commitment can materialize without a proper know-how. This is a moment where our engagement and our cooperation take a comprehensive dimension. With our engagement for education and vocational training materialize as it comes in support in the joint priority of energy. The European Union is a partner and its partner countries are actively involved in strengthening the technical and vocational education and training sector in Pakistan since 2011. The total contribution since that time amounts to 134 million euros. So in the first phase, we work on the development of the national TVET policy and the national qualification framework, teacher training in pedagogy and provision of training for about 150,000 people. In the second phase, which is just started in 2017, going till 2027, we will support for 64 million euro, participate in a program worth of 64 million euros, together with Germany and Norway. And so this focus will be on private sector engagement and design and delivery of competency-based training for at least 55,000 persons with a minimum of 30% women. And I wish I would see more women in this room tonight. Anyway, focus on employment of graduates with a target of 75% and a minimum wage of 15,000 Pakistani rupees. The ultimate outcome of any TVET project is to equip the trainees with skills that can provide them earning means. Exposure to the world of work and job opportunities is directly connected with TVET. Without creating the link between employers and trainers, the objective of providing means of income generation is not possible. Sustainable and regularized system for private sector engagement is one of the key elements of the Skills for All strategy. Our ongoing support of the TVET sector is also focusing on it. Some good measures are taken by the government, such as the formation of an Institute Management Committee and creation of Sector Skills Council. So I would like to congratulate the private sector for realizing the importance of their involvement in TVET to ensure provision of quality and demand-driven training. The development of Sector Skill Council is a benchmark to ensure private sector involvement. And I have been informed that 4 such Sector Skill Council have been established and that they cover the sectors of hospitality, construction, textile, and energy. So NAVTEC also deserves equal appreciation and congratulations on this achievement. Ever since the new chairman was with us today has taken charge, we have seen a robust change in the functionalization of NAVTEC. Launching 2 Sector Skills Council of Energy and Textile within a period of a few months is indeed commendable. So while all of these sectors are important for the country, and for a country like Pakistan, which has a growth potential in all 4 sectors, the importance of the energy sector cannot be denied to ensure a sustainable economic growth. The key function of the Sector Skills Council, as discussed earlier, will ensure the provision of demand-driven trainings. This is crucial as a mismatch between demand and supply has been one of the key issues faced by the TVET sector in Pakistan. Provision of quality training is directly connected to designing demand-driven trainings. So we do not need to recall the importance of TVET in Pakistan, as 3 million youths, out of which 53% women, are potentially entering the labor market every year. But there is only a capacity of 500,000 TVET trainees per year. It is encouraging that TVET is an essential element for the government objective of creating 10 million jobs in 5 years. A stronger visible connection and coordination mechanism between the public and private sector is crucial for a TVET system in Pakistan to meet the demand of the industry. Therefore, it is critical that the industry is fully involved during this entire training cycle, right from planning and selection of trainees to their final assessment. The SSC will play a key role to ensure this, as their mandate is to conduct a labor market analysis, improve curricula, and assist in creating employment opportunities. Fully realizing the importance of the private sector, the EU will continue supporting its increased engagement. We support the recommendation of the Skill for All strategy, such as the implementation of Apprenticeship Act, more industry representation on the board of TVET authorities, engaging business industry association for TVET awareness, and set up TVET facilities in the industry. I need to put a point here that women constitute almost 50% of Pakistan's population. Women active participation in economic development of the country is imperative for sustainable economic growth. Since the current government considers human development as a priority, we hope that women will get their due share of these jobs. To ensure this, and in line with the government target to increase share of females in TVET from 10% to 30% by 2023, there is an urgent need to introduce non-traditional trades and innovative ideas for women other than tailoring, embroidery, or beauty parlors. Energy could be one of such sectors. To ensure women's active involvement, it is important to also include them in leadership and decision-making position. Therefore, we suggest that both the government and the private sector make necessary action to ensure this. Once again, congratulations to the energy sector on this successful launch, and Pakistan Zindabad. Thank you.
Thank you. Federal Minister for Education and Professional Training, Mr. Shafak Mahmood, Chairman NAVTEC, Syed Jawad Hassan, Chargé d'Affaires, European Union, Mrs. Anne Marchal, Executive Director Dr. Nasir Khan of NAVTEC, and Dr. Fatima Kushnud, President, Sector Skills Council Energy. Distinguished guests, dear friends. I congratulate you all with establishing the Sector Skills Council for Renewable Energy, and I would like to thank you all to attend this event during the holy month of Ramadan. I'm very happy to attend this event, and I'm proud that Norway has been able to support the TVET sector support program which this is a part of. As we know, this, as was mentioned, this is the fourth Sector Skills Council have been established. The earlier one are in hospitality, textile, and construction, all important sectors of the economy. I appreciate that the government of Pakistan has plans to increase the share of renewable energy in total power generation to 30% by 2030. In order to achieve this, skilled workers will be needed. Currently, I've been told the share of renewable energy in Pakistan stands at only 4%, which is quite negligible when we see the fact that this country holds huge renewable energy potentials, particularly in solar and wind. As was mentioned by the representative of the European Union, this is a part of the larger TVET effort, technical and vocational training, the fact that several million young people enter the labor force every year is a huge challenge which the government has acknowledged, and this program is one small part of the work to see to it that these young people get skills which allow them to enter the workforce, and at the same time that the private sector received skilled workers which they need. There is a huge potential in solar sector, as the average amount of daily sunlight in Pakistan is on average 8.5 hours every day through the year. And I appreciate the government of Pakistan for its effort to install and expand the use of solar energy. In addition, when we consider the need to stop global warming, a shift from fossil fuels to renewable energy sources is of utmost importance in Pakistan, in Norway, in Europe, and indeed globally. I know that European and Norwegian companies stand ready to invest in this sector in this country as soon as the regulatory framework is in place, including things as tariffs and other technicalities. Huge investments are also needed in this sector. I sincerely hope that the Sector Skills Council in renewable energy sector will prove to be an effective, inclusive, and sustainable roadmap that will ensure skills development and job opportunities for the youth of the country and contribute to the development of the energy sector. Because we want Pakistan to grow as a strong economy to the benefit for its people and for the region. Thank you very much, and congratulations.
To share his remarks.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Mr. Javed Hassan, Chairman, NAVTEC, Dr. Nasir, Executive Director, NAVTEC, Dr. Fatma Khushnood, Convener of this skills sector, Dr. Saad Raja, Ambassador Kjell-Gunnar, Ms. Anne Marchal, Deputy Head of EU Mission in Pakistan, and I hope I haven't forgotten anybody. Ladies and gentlemen, first let me begin by congratulating NAVTEC for engineering this event. I'm not using the word hosting because I don't know whether it is hosted by NAVTEC or hosted by somebody else, but they have certainly done their part in engineering this event. Actually, ever since Mr. Javed Hassan has arrived on the scene in December, we see a lot of energy activities, lot of move forward in the TVET sector, and this is largely due to him and to Dr. Nasir, who has very, very successfully held the charge of executive director now for many, many months now. And so this team is truly working very well, and I think that they are making a significant difference in the TVET sector, and I'm very, very hopeful that this part of our mandate, our responsibility is being handled very well and will continue to be handled very well. Sector skill strategies, and what I've understood, I'm very excited about it. This is an industry-specific imagine or envisage our role at the federal level for skill training. And that is that we have to create public-private partnerships. And this is, I think, a wonderful example of such a public-private partnership. What I'm given to understand, the Skill Development Council will, for a particular industry, we will identify what is required. And after they have identified what is required, they are going to help in setting standards, they are going to develop the curricula, and for a job market that is continuously changing. I think in the energy sector, there is a great deal of move forward. New technologies are coming up. Much advancement is happening in solar energy and other renewable energies. As was pointed out, Pakistan has a huge potential of solar energy. My own feeling is, and I hope I'm right, that in another 5 to 10 years, solar cells and solar energy is going to become so affordable that it would be possible for every household to have, it's already happening. Already there are companies which are selling solar and normal energy mix for households. But there will come a time when it will become so affordable that every house can possibly have a solar panel on top of their house. So as we go forward and as industry advances and as renewable energy things keep coming up, I think it will be quite a task for the sector skill council to make sure that their curriculums and their job identification and work identification keeps pace with how the industry is evolving. Pakistan, of course, also has other potential of wind, and I think those of us who were in Islamabad last evening saw the potential of wind. It was really, I've never seldom seen such a windstorm. So, but obviously this is just a one-off thing in Islamabad, but there are channels where there is a lot of wind. I remember when we were younger, I would go to Hyderabad, and they would have chimneys made in such a way that they were facing towards the sea breeze, and the wind would come, and through these chimneys actually go inside the house. So these are wind tunnels which were very, very active, and I'm sure they're still active. And I don't know what the pricing mechanism is. It is still very expensive, the windmills. But again, this is another sector which will move forward, and a lot of potential in Pakistan for that. So over there also we will have to devise the right kind of curriculum. And I'm very glad that this is being done by industry itself and of course accreditation is another aspect. I think NAVTEC can have a great role to begin with to ensure that those who acquire these skills are examined properly and given the proper certification. I think that is one role that NAVTEC can perform. And as we go along, even this role can be then devolve to the industry. So I think the way forward is very clear. We have to have industry-specific sector councils. We need to have who should be constantly keeping an eye on what is happening in that industry, identifying jobs, identifying trades, making the curriculum, setting standards, examinations happening, and a whole lot of people emerging who are fully trained and to go into the job market. So, and also it was said that there are other parts of this which have yet to be thought of, like distribution and transmission. I hope that you spend some time doing some kind of work on distribution, because one of the really weak areas and an area where we lose a lot of revenue is distribution. Because in distribution, there is a lot of theft, there is a lot of... so we need advancement in that, we need kind of new distribution systems with better metering, etc. But we also need people who are properly trained in the distribution area. So that's another area that I think we need to move forward. Women, I think as new technologies emerge, and in our ministry, we have tried to very much to have a gender balance. I hope that NAVTEC in all their schemes and all their plans keep one eye very wide open on how to ensure that there is gender balance. And we must, so as I was saying, as new technologies emerge, maybe participation of women, even in a sector like energy, will get better. And I think we should look for ways and means to train women. And frankly, women can do everything. So it's the kind of discrimination that is done on that score, we must avoid and try and get over it. Mentally, we have to get over this, that, you know, these things. If women can fly planes, be combat pilots, can be policemen, they can be, I mean, they can be anything. So it's just a question of being able to have the right training and provide the right environment. And I already discussed this the other day about what kind of right environment we have to provide for women. But clearly, we have to make sure that there is no harassment. We have to make sure that there are daycare centers for children and so on and so forth. So we have to facilitate the participation of women. So really, again, congratulations, and I'm very grateful to our partners, the European Union and Norway. They have been great partners in so many of our activities, and I thank you very much for that. And it's a huge challenge, and you are standing with us shoulder to shoulder, and it's really great on your part, and we are very, very thankful and very, very grateful. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think this TVET sector is getting the kind of attention that it was long overdue, and I'm very happy that the team that is doing it so well. So, thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum. Ms. Anne Marchal, Deputy Head EU Mission, Convener for the Council, Dr. Fatma Kushnud, as well as Dr. Raja, and my colleague, Dr. Nasser. Thank you very much for arranging this, and all of you for sparing the time to be here. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been quite the last 1 year, actually, even before joining NAVTEC, I was involved in looking at the councils and how they operate, and actually working with GIZ in terms of designing the sector skill manuals. I think it's a critical area in terms of how skills development takes place across the world. Without skills councils, really, then it becomes very much a task, whether it's completely left to the informal sector or it's driven by the government, neither of which are satisfactory. If you look at how skills have developed the world over, one of the best examples which the Honorable Minister mentioned was guilds. gills were traditionally, this is something which went back to the sort of literally 15th and 16th century. The sort of origins of capitalism are really tied to the development of gills, and how the gills were able to ensure that a level of proficiency, skills development, and also ensuring that their own members were protected and actually had jobs, was very critical in making sure that industrialization happened in those countries which you had guilds and you had this sort of sector skills councils. These are all levels. So, you know, we take this lightly, but this is the beginnings of a very important development in our development of industrialization. So far, we have had this Ustad Shagird concept, which is a traditional sort of look at sort of guilds. But what it doesn't do is formalize and bring the cross-industrial sort of knowledge sharing. Sector skills, one of the main advantages which we seem to forget, that one company may be doing something, another may be doing another thing. There are obviously advantages in both, and both have a competitive nature where they may not want to share some of the information, but some of that information they do want to share, because both will benefit if there's a platform where they can share it. So the skills councils will not only enable development of curricular or accreditation, it also enables the industry members, the sector members, to get on a similar platform, on a common platform where they can share knowledge and effectively improve their productivity. So these are sort of early days, but I see really the skills councils becoming much more important in their, they're much more significant in their role in society, in the role in terms of how the country industrializes. I have to say I'm particularly pleased to see Dr. Fatma Khusnood being the convener of the Skills Council, the Energy Skills Council. This is seen as traditionally as something which is male-dominated. There's nothing that should be male-dominated. She has just in a few weeks, literally about 2 months altogether, taken this, she volunteered herself, she said she wanted to be the convener, and within a few weeks she has actually made things happen, which has taken some of our other councils led by men far longer. So well done, Dr. Fatma. It's really impressive. And I also would like to thank Shahab Sahab. He's from Engros, the CEO of Engro. It's fantastic that you have enabled, Honorable Minister was saying, whether it was NAFTEC or the council which was hosting it. It is the council which is hosting it, and I think behind that, Engro Power Gen has been partly funding it. So I'd like to thank you for doing this and enabling this event to take place, which is a grand event, and thank you very much. I'd like to just share a few thoughts here, and this, I know there's a bit of time, and I know it's just before. I do say I'm always asked to speak last when much has been already said, and I think either people don't like me much or they expect me to be a very good speaker. I'm certainly not a very good speaker, so I suppose people don't like me too much to speak last. And that too just before Iftari, so it's a bit, but I was just recently in China, and there is much happening in China in terms of skills development, and especially in terms of new technologies, whether it's artificial intelligence, whether it's robotics, whether it's in renewable energy. It is such that if we want to compare it, is like what was happening in the 17th and 18th century in Europe, where the developments that took place then differentiated that part of the world from the rest of the world. If we are not going to catch up with what's happening in these new technologies, whether it's artificial intelligence or energy, we will be left behind. So we have to look in terms of skill development at the future and what's happening. And especially in terms of energy development, the kind of developments we see, whether it's in wind power or solar power, it's a world apart. So we need quite a significant input from the Skills Council to have an eye not just 6 months ahead, but at least 4 or 5 years ahead. And that's something I especially request Dr. Fatma and the Council keep a lookout on what's happening elsewhere in the world, because what's happening or what the demand is there currently is not sufficient. Other than that, thank you all for being here. I'll shut up now and wait for iftar. Thanks.